So, a very big welcome, everybody. I am so pleased that you have decided to join me this evening, all about basically, are you ready to go live with webinars? Now, a lot of the people who are on this webinar with me are my regulars who have just gone through the webinar challenge that I ran in August, and this is all about, finally gearing up to run that webinar in September. That said, I've also invited people who just want to get going and who've just got questions about webinars to come on board as well. So some of you will have more of an idea about the whole process than others. But the big thing that I wanted to do tonight is really encourage you that you must do it. Webinars are huge. What you've got to consider is, first of all, the reach. So I'm just going to bring up my last little slide. The webinar challenge that I've been running throughout August is now in its last phase. In other words, the preparation phase is over, and now it's time to, get on with it and go live. If you've not taken part in the challenge, if you're one of the people that's just hopped on board tonight, from the invitations that I've put out today, don't worry, because I'll be talking about the steps which are involved, and it's not actually too late to join in. The important thing is that you get a webinar going. Why are webinars so important? Well, type in the box for me to let me know whether or not you've bought programs online. Okay, just type in and let me know whether or not you bought programs online. And while you're doing that, just to answer your question, Caroline, there's no subscriber list with this particular platform. But I was just really putting this out to the people who are already on my list. There is a sneaky way that you can get them onto the list by you just setting up an opt-in page and then they subscribe via an opt-in page, just as they would for if they were downloading a free report. And once they're on your list, you just send them the link to join. You just send them the link to join the way that I did you guys tonight. So it is really a clever little platform. Okay, so yes, Julia's bought, Chris, too many, Kumaran, yeah, okay. Now then, how many of you have bought because you attended a webinar? Yeah, you could buy a house with the programs you've bought, mostly following webinars, and that is my point exactly, Grace. How many of you would not have, how many of you would not have bought those programs if it wasn't for the webinar? Yeah, absolutely. Yes, Chris says, yeah, mine. Yeah, you bought mine because you attended my webinar. Okay, so this is the point I'm trying to make, guys. I know a lot of you have been online a while, and I know that you've got opt-in pages, I know you've got products, I know you've got programs. More importantly than that, even if you haven't, got your definitive, signature product or program ready yet, every single one of you has the ability to coach or mentor, because you've all got an amazing amount of knowledge. Yeah, you've always got the you've already got what you need to make money, because you've got knowledge, you've got ability, you've got gifts and talents that other people are just waiting to hear. Okay, so even if you haven't got a fancy product, so let's say, for example, some of the big launches that you might have seen recently, Optimize Press 2, Video Genesis, any of the big fancy products, you don't need that. You can launch a mentoring program, a client coaching program online over a webinar. All you have to do is get across in the webinar the message that you can help people. Okay, so you don't have to have a big fancy website. You don't have to have a membership site already set up or anything like that. The big thing is, though, if you want to earn a living, okay, let's just ask the question: how many of you want to actually make some money from this online business that you've got? type in the box for me if you want to actually start, you're fed up faffing around and you want to make some money. Yeah, yes, absolutely. Thank you, Chris. Webinars are a must. You just need to master it. Yeah, absolutely. And I am passionate. I know what it's like to be broke. I know what it's like to have the skills as a coach and to be able to coach people, particularly in presentation skills, and to get frustrated because, I wasn't making the money. And then I spent ages, going online. And then what I did is, I bought all the free programs and all the rest of it, and then finally, I took some, coaching and mentoring. I know that a lot of you will know the lovely Jo Barnes, and Jo basically said to me, "You've just got to do it," and and she said, "Crikey, just put together a small product, $27, $37, $47, and just do it." And that's how people make money. All the people who are making money are doing it off the back of webinars. Okay, there are a few of them doing it slightly differently. Videogenesis was a video campaign. Well, it kind of needed to be because they were selling videos. But most of the big guys, your Frankens, a lot of them do it off the back of webinars because they work. And actually, they're not that hard to do. When it comes to the technology, it's more scary than it appears. And how many of you, all right, have been on a webinar where there have been technical problems? I bet every single one of you has been on a webinar where there's been technical problems. Type in the box for me and let me know how many webinars you've attended where there have been technical problems. Yeah, defo, absolutely. Yeah, almost everybody. Even the big ones. Yeah, Chris, last week, one of the ones I ran not too long ago was a major technical challenge, shall we say. But does it put you off those people? Type in there and let me know if it completely turns you off these people. Yeah, I did. I pulled my disaster off. Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. Okay, so the thing that frightens people is, oh my goodness, I don't know if I'm going to manage the technology. I don't know if something's going to go wrong. Well, guess what? Do you know what? It really doesn't matter. If you practice with your technology and you get a platform that you feel comfortable with, if something goes wrong on the night, reschedule it. It doesn't matter. Honestly, guys, the thing is you've got to do it. And guess what? The more you do it, the more comfortable you become with it. I mean, I pulled it off because I've been doing webinars a while now. So therefore, when it all went pear-shaped, it was a platform that I wasn't familiar with. It was a new platform that I was experimenting with, and I thought, oh well, never mind. I tell you what, let's hop over and go onto a Google Hangout instead. I don't want you to let the technology frighten you. Yes, I will guarantee you that you will run a webinar that goes completely pear-shaped on you. That goes with the territory. It's really par for the course. But you know what? It doesn't matter. I've done webinars where the recording didn't work and I've had to redo it on my own with no attendees just so that I could record it and send the replay out. That's life. It happens. But guess what? The more you do it, the easier it becomes. Okay. Yeah, here we go. Chris is just saying he's been on a Google webinar on air this evening and it shut down twice. All you have to do is take it in your stride, okay? So I'll come on to a little bit more about that later on. What I want to do, though, is I want tonight to be about you. I want it to be about what are your questions that you've got. So I'm just going to go through a few tips first, and then I'm just going to open it out, and I'm going to ask you, you just ask the questions. I don't guarantee to be able to know them all. I'm not a complete oracle. But the one thing I will say is that I've gone through this experience with webinars as a complete beginner and as a complete non-techie person. And if I can do it, you can do it. all it takes is, it's a bit like that little fledgling learning to fly. You've got to jump off the cliff. Okay, so let's go through a few tips first of all. Now, first of all, there is a process. So let's just go through the process. There are 4 key steps to running successful webinars and making money out of them. The first thing is you have to set a strategy. Now, I didn't do this. I just ran willy-nilly webinars, and they weren't joined up, they weren't cohesive, and I'm just thinking, oh, I don't know what I'm going to run next. It is a really good idea to plan out, right, well, okay, this month I'm going to do this, next month I'm going to do that, the following month I'm going to do this, and align it with your business strategy. You know, that is really sensible. That is something I didn't do, and I wish I had. I think I would have been more successful earlier if I'd have done that. The second step is, and I think this is the most important part, and that is the presentation. Okay, a webinar is quite simply an online presentation, so it makes sense that the presentation needs to be good, it needs to be right, it needs to be structured in a manner that's going to sell. Okay, and I had the very good fortune to learn off probably the best guy in the world when it comes to selling through speaking. I know that a lot of you will know that I went off and studied with Andy Harrington, who is the #1 presentation skills and public speaking coach, and boy does that guy know how to sell. If you've not heard of him before, just check out his website, andyharrington.com. He charges a fortune for his training, so I'm going to be passing a lot of that on to you. And you won't have to pay me as much as I paid him, put it that way. So the presentation is important, and a lot of people get so tied up with the technology that they don't give enough time and effort and thought to the presentation. So I need to really impress on you, spend time getting your presentation right, have a look at it, get people to check it out, you know, get people's feedback on it, you know, and say, like, well, would you buy having seen this? And again, if you join the Wicked Webinar sort of challenge that I just did, the Facebook group, you know, I've got a lot of pointers in there that will help you with that. Obviously, the next thing is you've got to choose your webinar platform, and there are loads to choose from. And it's something that you just have to feel comfortable with and familiar with. What do you want it to do? Now, for me, for example, it was really important that I wanted people to be able to see me. That's why I wanted a platform that has a webcam. Now, most people don't actually have the speaking to camera and the webcam, and you know, in fairness, a lot of the you know, even the big major players, you don't see them, you just hear their voice talking over a screen. For me, it was important because I'm teaching presentation skills, and I want you to be able to see me because that's kind of part of a presentation. Not only that, for me, as Darla just pointed out earlier on, that it creates that rapport. You know, when you see people, you can get to know people. Yes, you can get to know people to a certain extent through their voice. But for me, it's important that people can kind of see me as well. You know, when you can kind of see the whites of somebody's eyes, you can build that greater connection and rapport with them. Now, I know, again, a lot of you, as I said earlier, you know, you know Jo Barnes. Now, when Jo does hers, she doesn't use the webcam on GoToWebinar, but she doesn't need to, because she does so many videos and blogs and all the rest of it that most of you already feel you know her, because she is so visible in other ways. Yeah, so she'll do little videos and blogs so that, you know, when she comes on to a webinar, she kind of doesn't need to, because you know, people already know her. GoToWebinar does have a webcam. You can share your webcam on GoToWebinar, but it will not record it. Unless they've changed it very recently. I had a big conversation about them when I was trialing it, and they said they will not record the webcam, which I think is a big shame, but there you go. This one does, which I really like. Okay, Caroline, yes, you can turn the webcam off when you get going. So if you're doing a demo, you can decide to, turn that webcam off. It's also useful to know that let's say you don't feel confident having the webcam. Let's say, for example, I don't know, you've got a load of notes and you don't I haven't got notes, I've just got an envelope, but let's say you're doing a lot of this stuff and you don't really want people to see that. You don't have to share your webcam. It's a choice. You can have a picture up there instead. So but for me, that's why I like this platform, and one of the reasons why I've chosen this particular platform, because that's got it there. Also, I like the chat box. The chat box is nice and easy. It's there, it's easy to use, and so on and so forth. There are loads of other platforms that I enjoy using. I like Webinar Express, as I know a lot of you know. And the great thing about Webinar Express is it's got unlimited people, and it's really kind of inexpensive in comparison. Okay, so let's have a little look. I'm just looking at questions. Yeah, introducing. Yeah. You can do that. You can introduce yourself on the webcam, and you can, because that's the thing. If you're going to use a webcam, you do need to look at the webcam and not all around the screen and forget. Although, having said that, it's really funny because I've seen presenters do that, and it doesn't seem to put a lot of people off. But for me, I think it's nice if you look into the webcam and then you can just shut it off, while you're doing something else. This particular platform, Darla, is called Meetcheap. And if you look in the browser at the top, you'll see where it's got meetcheap.com. So that's the name of this particular platform. And again, I've got on the Wicked Webinars group, I've got quite a comprehensive kind of rundown of all the different platforms. Alrighty, so yeah, platform is just something. The big thing is to become comfortable with it. I had a bit of a disastrous, though a few of you were on my disastrous webinar a few weeks back, and the whole point of that was because, in fairness, that was my fault. I hadn't got myself familiar enough with the platform. Okay, I'm just having a look to see who's on. I just saw that Teresa was around, but she was having trouble getting on. Okay, well, I'll just have to send the recording. Okay, is there a limit to the number of participants? On Meetcheap, you can choose. So it's one of those, you get, I think $10 takes you up to 100. Then you can go up to 200, 300, 500. I forget off the top of my head what they are, but it's really reasonable. So, okay, so that's platform. The final step is just promotion. Okay, so it's really important then that you want bums on seats so that you promote your webinar. So those are the 4 key steps. Now, what I wanted to do really is to just give you a few tips live, and then I'm just going to go completely into questions. So the tips that I've got is I like this because it's a kind of different take on all the P's. Proper preparation prevents presentation predicaments. I kind of like that. That really fits in with the whole webinar side of things. Most people don't give themselves enough time to prepare. Having said that, some people give themselves too much time and then they keep on procrastinating. So it's a fine line, the things that you do need to spend time preparing on is the presentation, so your slides and all that kind of stuff, what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, and you need to prepare in that you need to play around and have a practice with your platform that you choose. So set up several practice ones where you can do completely on your own. You won't even have anybody else there. Get familiar with how everything works, and then it's a good idea to buddy up with maybe 2 or 3 people and use each other as guinea pigs so you know what it's like when you've got other people there. Now, this kind of fits in with the time thing. Give yourself plenty of time, particularly just before the webinar. Now, one of the things that I always recommend is that when you're about to, host a live webinar, that you log on really early. That way it gives you time to troubleshoot any problems. I've had it before where I haven't been able to get in to my webinar room, and boy does it stress you out when the golden hour is approaching and you can't log on, or something gets stuck, or you've forgotten to do something. Get in, log on early, test out your microphone, test out the recording, test out the webcam, make sure all that's working and all that kind of stuff. And the other thing is, get there early, just so that you're comfortable and you can get into the right state. If everything is ready and you're prepared, then while you wait for everybody to come on, you can just spend some time getting in the zone. So you can do some deep breathing, you can, do the kind of affirmations, you can, get yourself energized, get yourself into a nice, excited state. The other thing when it comes to time is give yourself time on the webinar itself. So, for example, you might sort of think, I've lost track of where I am. What's next? You don't have to talk every single second of the way through. You can just say, okay, so that's time. Right, now, what's next? And, you don't, even if you're speaking to camera, you don't have to pretend that you're not using notes. It's perfectly acceptable to say, okay, so what's next then? Right, yes, so the next thing is, it's not going to be off-putting. For heaven's sake, even TV broadcasters have notes. They have cards. They have directors in their ear roll telling them what's next and what to do and what to say. And people watching don't think that they're not professional just because they're looking at their notes, and you'll see them doing this kind of thing. So if it's good enough for a professional TV broadcaster and presenter, that's good enough for us. We don't have to do it without notes all off the top of our head, even when you're speaking to camera. Does that make sense? So give yourselves time to think, and don't be afraid of pauses. I know that when I'm teaching, people on stage, it's all about remember to pause for dramatic effect. Now, okay, it's very different when you're on a webinar, but at the same time, as long as you haven't got massive silences, then it's fine. Okay? If anything, it's probably easier to pause when you're speaking to camera, because people can at least still see you and they know you're there, whereas if you're not there on webcam, people are going, oh, have I lost the sound? Has it gone? That kind of thing. Alright, so the next thing is, before you go live, think about your comfort. Now, this might sound silly, but make sure you are comfortable. Make sure that you have eaten sometime just before you go live. Make sure you've just been to the loo, so that you're not sitting here crossing your legs and, and bouncing up and down because you're dying, to go to the toilet or anything. So make sure you do have a comfort break before you start your webinar. Make sure you've got a glass of water. That's all part of the comfort thing, and in fact it's my next little picture. And at the same time, don't be afraid to take a slurp of that water while you're running the webinar. It's really not a problem. If you've got, you're speaking to the webcam like I am now, and you just say, hang on guys, sorry, I just needed to take a slurp of water. Or if you're not talking to camera, you can just say, hold on a second guys, I just need to take have a drink of water. That's fine. Absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. So make sure that you're, looking after your comfort before it's all begin. Yeah, it's water. Well, of course, I'm saying it's water. You don't know whether that's water or vodka or gin, but actually, I don't recommend you having anything stronger than water until it's over. Because otherwise you might end up really losing your place. You might get all sorts of fits of giggles and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so make sure you've always got water with you. Because, and the other thing is, if when you're talking a long time, then there is the likelihood that you are going to start getting a dry mouth. So make sure you've got water. Finally, don't panic. Even if something goes wrong, you have the power to deal with it. If something goes wrong, you just say, hang on guys, let me sort this out. And the other thing to do, one of the tips for going live, I always suggest having another computer next to you and actually log on to that one as a participant, because then you can see what's going on. So you can see in well, actually no, you can't see. I have you will see when the recording comes out, but I have got myself signed into another computer as Mal. And what I've got is I'm actually running this on my laptop, because my laptop's got a higher spec, so it deals with the the webcam and the audio better. And I've also got my desktop, which is next to me, and every now and again, yeah, you'll see my little eyes dart over, because I'm checking that it has changed the slide, for example. I'm checking that I can be seen and the slides can be seen. That I also like to check by asking people to type in the box. But if most people are saying that they can see you, and if I can see you myself in my participants screen, if somebody's having a problem, I know it's to do with their internet, or I know it's to do with their technology, and it's not necessarily a problem with mine, in which case just have to say to them, okay guys, as long as you can hear me, I'll just send out the recording. How do they show in iPads? Truth, Caroline, I have no idea. No, I've not got an iPad, never used one, so I really don't know how it'll show up. But most recordings will show up no problem in an iPad. What it's like live, to be honest, I couldn't tell you. So I'm not going to kind of give you a bullshit answer, because I simply don't know. All right, so the answer is don't panic. If it goes pear-shaped, you just say to people, okay, bear with me for a minute. Let me just sort this out. And then if you can't, what you need to do is you just kind of type in the box, you reschedule, you might decide, okay, I've got plan B and all that kind of thing. But you know what? If you calm down and and you just take your time. So let me just give you an example. I'm going to change from presentation mode, and I'm going to share my desktop for a moment. And now let's say, for example, I've just clicked on desktop, and all that's come up is the chat. You can see the chat, and I might be thinking, it's not working. Just take your time, look around the screen, and then, there's a button down there. It says start sharing. I need to click on that. So if you don't panic, and then I get a message, share the full screen, click on that. Bear with me guys while this all comes up, and now all of a sudden you can see my screen, which is basically just a small version of what I've got here. I could, for example, go on to the Google browser where I pulled up the have fun image that I used in my slide. Okay, and then I'm going to go back, and where I went wrong before, I tried clicking on presentation and nothing was happening. Had I not panicked myself? Well, I didn't panic, but I just didn't take the time to look around. And oh look, there's a stop sharing. So we stop sharing, click back on presentation, and voila, we're back where I should be. And also what I need to do at this point is all my controls have come up. which will be seen in the recording, which I don't want. So there we go. I just do that, and now I'm back to where I was. So you just need to, again, part of not panicking is taking your time. But the biggest tip and recommendation is have fun. It should be fun. And you know what? Sometimes if it goes pear-shaped, you can have a bit of a laugh with it. The key is not to get stressed. If you get stressed, the people watching are going to get stressed. If you have fun, you can have fun with it yourself. How many times have you watched other webinars where the webinar presenter started getting stressed and it makes you feel uncomfortable? I know very well that when things go pear-shaped for Jo Barnes, she just has a giggle about it and everybody else feels great. The point is, if you're enjoying yourself and if you're having fun, most of the people who are going to be watching you are going to be very forgiving and they're going to have fun too. It's the ones who get all stressed out and then start panicking where they start getting messages where, it's oh, this presenter doesn't know what they're doing, and all that kind of thing. Okay, so those really are my messages. Just give yourself time. Couple of other key points as well. When you're speaking to camera, if you're going to be set back, you probably can't see this. I've actually got a pattern top on, and I wore this to try and demonstrate to you. I'm going to stand up. So pattern tops or striped shirts for guys don't work. Now, if you're pretty much close like I am, head and shoulders, it doesn't matter too much. But if there's going to be more of you that's visible, another little tip is wear a solid colour. That's going to work better as well. Okay, and that's pretty much it for my tips. So there is loads of support. We've got the private Facebook group, so I've got 2 Facebook groups. I've got just the, pretty much wicked webinars. And then I got the Wicked Webinar Challenge, where that was specifically people who were going through the challenge with me during August. I've got loads of stuff in my Superb Speaking System. I know that a lot of you on here have already got that. I've got techie tutorials in there, as well as everything that you need to know about putting a presentation together. Obviously, I've got my mentoring program, but one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about is, for those of you who need support, I am putting together a Wicked Webinar Implementation Bootcamp. Now, I'm not going to do a big song and dance about this, but the big important thing is to do it. It's to get going. As Nike says, just do it. For those of you who don't feel ready yet, you don't need more time, you don't need more programs, you don't need CDs, DVDs, you don't need more books, you don't even need more webinars. What you need is support and a mentor to do it. In fact, what you need is accountability. Because the thing that's stopping you doing webinars isn't time or knowledge, it's procrastination based on fear and anxiety. Okay? Because it doesn't matter whether or not, as I said earlier, you've got that all singing, all dancing program to sell. You've all got knowledge, you've all got expertise, and you can all sell a coaching program. The point is, people buy through webinars. So you need to be running webinars. If for whatever reason you've been putting off running webinars, I highly recommend this implementation bootcamp, because I'm going to take you through each of those 4 steps: the strategy, the presentation, the what was the third thing? The platform, the promotion. But what's going to be different about this is I'm going to be setting homework, because this is an implementation group. I've given people knowledge, but people sit on knowledge, and in my experience, people take knowledge and they put it on the shelf. And as one of my mentors loves to say, that's not self-development, that's shelf development. Okay, the way that I can help you and to get you earning money is to support you through actually doing it. Doing a webinar, that means doing the homework, setting the date, and actually doing it. No excuses. This is the date, I'm going to go for it. And being around to answer all your questions. So the way that this boot camp is going to work, you get access to videos of the webinars that I've just been running over the last 4 weeks. And then each week I will do a complete Q&A. So I am there to answer any questions you've got, whether they be about the presentation, whether they be technical, whether they be, I don't know whether to do it on this topic or that topic, so that you get my input and support and mentoring. And I'm going to basically make sure that you have got everything that you need to do to actually do it and run the webinar. So I'm going to basically be Mother Eagle, and I'm going to boot my little chicks out of the nest so that they fly. Because once you've got your first webinar out of the way, I tell you what, your first webinar, it doesn't matter if you don't make any sales. It doesn't even matter if hardly anybody shows up. It doesn't even matter if nobody shows up. The important thing that you do it. The important thing is that you're doing it, because once you've got that first one out of the way, the second one is so much easier. Once you've got the second one out of the way, the third one's so much easier. And certainly I would recommend you get a few good practices with live clients out of the way before you start going on to the big promotional webinars where you're running it with a massive, really useful JV partner. Alrighty, so how much is this going to cost? Well, just think to yourself, how much is it going to be worth to you, even if you sold one client into a mentoring or coaching program? Yeah? It should be that just one mentoring or coaching client should give you at least $500. Otherwise, you need some coaching on your pricing structures. Okay? All right. Yes, you could say, well, put it this way. You could choose instead, okay, I've got a product at $47. All right? Through running a webinar, I sold, what was it in dollars? It was £930. So it was about $1,500 just through selling a $47 product on the back of a webinar. How many of you... Okay, I've got a few people saying you've lost me. That's weird. Here we go. Don't panic, people. Don't panic. That's really strange, because on both of my test clients, I can see myself. All right. Can you hear me? Okay. Thanks, Darla. Darla can still see me. Can everybody still hear me at least? Yeah, Kumarin, you can hear me well. Fantastic. Okay. See what I mean, guys? Don't panic. Just stop. Check in. Ask people. Okay. If some people can see you, some can't. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Darla can see and hear me. Chris has got me. Okay, so you can hear me. Fantastic. I don't really care if you can't see me at this point. Alright, so how many of you would find it useful if you were to either sell, I don't know, even 10 products at $47? Type in the chat in a chat box if you sold 10 products at $47. How useful would that be? Or just one mentoring client. Yeah, anything would be good. And even if you only sold one at $27, let me tell you what that does for your confidence. The very first sale that I made was $7, and I was over the moon, And what that does is it just does so much for your confidence. It gets you going, and then you do another one, and then you'll sell 2 at $47. Then you'll sell maybe 5 at $47. And then, I went in and I sold 30, at $47. You know, so when you put it in terms like that, the price I'm going to give you for my webinar implementation bootcamp, I think you'll see as being pretty measly. Oh, I haven't even told you what's in. Yes, I did. I did tell you what was included. But just to remind you, access to the webinar recordings on each of the 4 steps, a complete Q&A every Thursday for 4 weeks, homework assignments, and do you know what? I won't be letting you off because I want you to succeed. I want you to run a webinar and I want you to earn money. And also, you will get a one-to-one strategy session with me at the start, so we can, get you on the right roll and get you talking to, just make you feel comfortable. And for those of you who have not yet got access to my superb speaking system, you will get that as well. So the cost then, a measly $247 for anybody who has not yet bought my superb speaking system. And for those of you who are already in, you get it at the cheaper price of $147, because basically that's the difference between the with what I'm charging at the moment. Okay, so Cumarin, yeah, your first sale $28, fantastic. But do you know what? It will be so worth it, I promise you, because the big thing is to get going. And even if you don't make a sale on your first webinar, if you keep going and you keep tweaking and improving, you will get there. So that is the support that is available to you. Now, for those of you who've already gone through my previous 4 weeks webinar workshop, you get to go through this again without saying a single penny. For those of you who are already in my mentoring program, you get to go through this without paying a single penny, because the one thing that I do, guys, is I look after my existing customers and people who have already bought from me. Alrighty, now that's enough about all of that. If you want the support, I will post the link for you that you can have a look at when the webinar is over. So, questions. I want you to bombard me with whatever your questions are that is getting in the way of you running webinars at the moment. What are your questions about platforms? What are your questions about the presentation? What are your questions about how you promote it? What are your questions about strategy? What are your questions about my implementation program? So type your questions in the box and I will basically keep going until I've answered them all. Yes, Grace, it was me. Grace was my first ever sale online and I love her for it. My little $7 product, I was over the moon. Okay, so Grace wants to decide on platform. Now, one of the best ways for deciding on platform is first of all decide what you want it to do. So are you just going to do a voiceover slides? Do you want more functionality? So do you want to be able to share the screen and all that kind of stuff? Do you want to be able to have the talking to webcam, which is recordable? Do you need something that you're not going to spend a fortune on, do you want something that's easy to use? All of those kind of things. Now, for example, for beginners, I like this platform because it's actually quite easy to use once you get your head around it and it's all there. And you can disable things like the chat, you can disable the webcam, and you can just have the slide presentation. GoToWebinar is actually quite easy to set up. GoToWebinar is also quite easy to operate once you've had a few practices with it. The big downside with GoToWebinar is the price. Now, here's a sneaky thing that you can do with GoToWebinar until you're comfortable. You take a free trial that you can get for 45 days, and in my I think in my Wicked Webinar challenge, I gave a link that you can get a 45-day trial. Now you have to give them your credit card details, but they're pretty good. You can actually set it up a long time in advance that it cancels at the end of the trial. And then if you think, yeah, I'm just getting to grips with this, but I don't want to change platforms yet, but I don't want to buy it either, you can get another free trial on GoToWebinar by using a different email address. If I'm totally honest with you guys, I've used, I think, 5 different free trials with GoToWebinar. Now, the big once you get to a point where you want to use a lot of where you want a lot of people, let's say you want more than 100. I had to make the decision, do I buy GoToWebinar or do I change? Now, I did not want to pay the amounts of money that GoToWebinar are charging for the amount of people that I wanted to get onto my webinar. Because once you start doing joint ventures, to give you an example, I did a webinar that was a joint venture with Joe, and I got 535 people register for it. But I could, because I was on a free trial, I could only take 100, and all of those 100 were taken up. So I probably lost a fair amount of sales there because I converted at 30%. So if I'd had if I'd had 200 people on instead of 100 people, I might well have sold twice the amount that I did. Does that make sense? Okay. So I decided that I needed a different platform. Meatcheap is brilliant, and there is also a Mike Filsame Evergreen which uses exactly the same platform that you can see here, and I'm going to use that because it's got it does the same job, but it's got extra analytics and extra marketing tools, and it is really cheap. Again, I've got all the prices in I'll give you the links at the end. I will put some into the chat box, and I'll also put them in the Facebook group as well, all the links, because I've got a document that you can download with all of this information. Webinar Express. Now, what excites me about Webinar Express is that, well, first of all, I was lucky and I bought it when it only cost $47. It is now $297, I believe, but it's still brilliant when you're looking at masses of people. It's also very easy to set up. For a beginner, it's probably not as easy to use. Because there are a few things that you have to do right when you go live, like you have to integrate it with Google Hangouts. Google Hangouts does sometimes have a habit of crashing out, so you've just got to keep your cool and reset that bit up. And the question and answering chat isn't perhaps quite as easy, but can you imagine when you want to have 3,000 people? Well, I'm sorry, but well, for a start, GoToWebinar only takes you up to 1,000, and it starts to get really upset when there are more people trying to get in the room. So I love Webinar Express. Also, because Webinar Express uses Google Hangouts has got lots of funky stuff in its functionality that you use. So if you want that ability, and if you want to get other presenters on where you can see them as well on video camera and webcam, it's really good. Okay, Meatcheap and the Mike Filsame videos and all the rest of it, they have got awesome video training which is easy to follow, and it's in bite-sized chunks. So instead of having a mammoth video to sit down, I think it's like 10 videos, all of which are about 5 minutes each. So their training is really, really good. So when it comes to deciding on your platform, my biggest piece of advice is to take free trials with them all and play with them. Okay, Webinar Express, I think, is probably the only one I've come across which doesn't give you a free trial. So don't take a free trial when you're about to go on holiday or leave the country or get really busy. When you know you've got a quiet week or so coming up, take a free trial and use it, play with it, get to grips with it. If you've got techie questions, post them in the group, or have a look at, test out what their support is like. I know Julia, for example, was having trouble with the Meat Cheap, and she couldn't get on the support. I actually found the Meat Cheap support really good because they had a live chat. And I really liked that, and they came on straight away and chatted to me, and it was really, rather than sending a support ticket and waiting for them to email you back, it was kind of like an instant messaging service. Okay, so that's basically tips for how you choose your platform. Oh, Julia, thank you. Brilliant. You went on the live chat today and they were great. Yeah, see, so that's really important, You don't want to send a support ticket and have to wait 10 hours for them to come back to you. All right, I'm just going to scroll up and just see through some of these other questions a minute. When linking Aweber or similar, would you recommend a list per webinar or merge them into one? That is a great question, Chris. The answer is it all depends how you want to follow up with them afterwards. I tend to have different lists for different things. So, for example, when I was doing webinars predominantly all about overcoming fear, I put them onto a separate list. When I did webinars all about selling, I put those onto a different list. I've got my webinar challenges on a different list because I know those people are particularly interested in that topic. Now, if you want to send a broadcast out to everybody, the great thing is on Aweber, you don't have to send a different broadcast to each of them. You can just send one broadcast to all of your lists. So for targeted marketing, I set up different lists for different things. But let's say, for example, when I set up the webinar challenge, I thought, well, and then I set up this one. I don't really need to set up a separate list for this because they're all people interested in webinars. So you don't have to go over the top and do a different one every single time, but you want to keep interest groups on different lists. I hope that makes sense. And that's another thing to think about as well, for example, when choosing your platform. I have been using Aweber, and GoToWebinar is a nightmare for integrating with your autoresponder list. It doesn't set up that you have to set up a different opt-in page. The GoToWebinar registration page doesn't integrate with your autoresponder list. The way that they do it is that they will give you a list, so an Excel spreadsheet list of your attendees, and you then have to upload that into your autoresponder list. Now, people have just signed in for the webinar. If after the event you then want to put them into your Aweber list, Aweber's going to go, hang on a minute, this is a third party. I'm going to make sure that these people are happy to be contacted, so it will send out a double opt-in. And people are going to go, what's this? And they don't like double opting in. They've got opted in once for the webinar. They don't want to opt in again to your list. Meat Cheap, you can set up your own opt-in. It goes onto your list, and then you use your own autoresponder to send them out the link to join the webinar. Yeah, so that's another reason that I like it. I can't stand the Aweber GoToWebinar combination. Now, if you're using MailChimp, for example, MailChimp will often allow you to upload from an Excel spreadsheet and import names and addresses because they trust you and they just ask you the question, have you got these people's permission? And if you click yes, they'll do it. Other autoresponders will do the same. I think, is it iContact? You can upload, and if anybody's using Infusionsoft, you can do it as well. But the GoToWebinar Aweber combination, to be honest, is a pain in the backside. Okay, so I hope I've answered that question. Right, Darla, how do you implement the graphics with your presentation? All right, now this depends on the platform that you're using. If you're using GoToWebinar, you just get your PowerPoint up, and basically when you hit show screen, it automatically shows your slides, and then what happens is you just click on you just click your mouse and it goes on to the next slide. So with GoToWebinar it's very easy. You just get the command in your control panel, start sharing screen, and whoomp, up comes your slides. In this particular one, what you've got here is you upload it previously into the presentation, and then it's in there. Now, one of the disadvantages with this, because you have to upload them previously, you can't animate. So let me go back to, say, a bullet pointed list. Right, okay, see here where I've got implementation bootcamp and I've got bullet points. If I was doing that on a screen share through an ordinary PowerPoint presentation, I could get each of those bullets to come up separately. That's one of the downsides with Meetcheap. You can't animate your slides. So if I desperately wanted these to come up one by one, I would need to put them onto a different slide. Same with Webinar Express. If you do anything where you're just sharing your screen, in fact, if I wanted to, if I was that bothered, I could just use the desktop in this particular platform and just share my desktop. So let me just show you how that might work. So I might go to desktop. Share my screen. Choose a PowerPoint presentation. Hang on, let me see if I can pick one which... I'm not sure if I've got anything here which is already animated. Okay, this isn't already animated, but if I say click on... there we go. The only other downside to this is it kind of cuts... It distorts it a little bit. But now that I'm doing this, I'm just doing this via my desktop. Okay? And if I had anything animated, I haven't animated this. This is a PowerPoint that I'm working on and I haven't animated it yet. Oh, here we go. Here's one that's animated. Okay, so I've got that one, and then I click on the next one and it comes up, and then I click on the next one and it comes up. Now, that's actually cut off the bottom of the... yeah, so it's not brilliant because you can't see the bottom in your view of my screen. But click the next one and up it comes. Oh, there we go. Yeah, you can move it around a little bit. And click again, click again. So, you can get around it. So basically you just do it via either upload or you do it by showing your screen. Okay, does that answer your question, Darla? Alrighty. Okay, those of you that have asked questions, have I answered them? Have you got any more questions? Fantastic. Cool. Yeah, do you know what, Darla? It is easy. Once you... can you integrate a video guest? Yes, you can. You can add people to the kind of dashboard as presenters, so you can bring people on, and again, one of the things that you do, this is where you play with the platforms on the free trial, so you mess around with where it works fairly easily and simply, and where actually, it does it, but it's not easy. So when it comes to platforms, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you now. I'm going to go back to presentation, and I'm going to put my last slide up. Let's go forwards. Okay, so I was on the questions bit, right? This is the most important bit. Play with it. Oh, let me hide that as well. Try it out. Mess around. Literally just have fun trying it out, play with it. That's the only way you're going to find the platform that works for you. Okay, Grace is just saying, yeah, you use lots of videoed PowerPoints. When you say videoed PowerPoints, do you mean videos within PowerPoints? Or do you just mean that you use an awful lot of PowerPoint slides? Because this particular, I'm going to share my screen again a minute. Yeah, okay, yeah, because right, when you're making video, one of the ways of making video is that you do a video of basically a slide presentation, which is a PowerPoint presentation that you talk over. Now, quite simply, you go on screen share and click start on a video. So if you want to show a video, and this is something that's useful if you're a bit nervous of doing the live stuff and there's a bit that you want to show which is really important. This particular, so I'm going to go on. All right, I'm just going to demonstrate this. I'm going to go on to slide, share my screen again. Desktop, start sharing, share the full screen. Alrighty, now what you can see here is my control panel and what I see. And look what I've got up here. I have video. So in this particular platform, you can actually upload a video in there, ready to actually play it. Okay? The alternative to that is you just go over to YouTube or wherever your video happens to be hosted. So let's go up to, this is going to be interesting because I've actually never bothered to do this before because I tend not to show videos in my webinars, but we're going to do it. We're going to go into YouTube and we're going to test this out. And I'm going to test something out by showing you I'm going to show you one of my songs that I'm really into listening to at the moment, because I want to see what the quality of it is like. Okay, so come on then, where is it? Oh, I can't find it now. How annoying is that? Alright, never mind. I'll find my next favourite one. Right, oops, no, go back. Don't panic. There we go. It changed. Right, okay, so let's see how this works for you guys.
Warning, what you're about to watch is so controversial, some of Britain's leading media outlets have banned it.
Skip the ad.
Something flavor. Aventura.
Hello?
Shh. Solo escucha. Son las 5 de la mañana y yo no he dormido nada. Pensando en tu belleza, en loco voy a parar.
Okay, now I love this, so I could actually, I'm going to pause it. I love that song, so I could actually just make you watch the whole thing. But yeah, so you can, Grace, if you've got that all set up, you can just, basically do it. So I'm now going to go back to my conference room, stop sharing, and go back to my presentation. Okay, so did you all manage, let me know guys, did you all get to see and hear that video that I just played? Oh, you didn't get sound? That's interesting. Okay, so that's something that basically we just need to experiment and play with. It might well be that it works better in other... yeah, okay. You could see it, no sound. Alright, so... It could well be then that for this particular platform I would have needed to preload it into the video. So the video doesn't, I would have probably, you're right Chris, probably would have needed to select a different sound source. But this particular platform, you can load your videos into it. If I was using GoToWebinar or Webinar Express, I'm pretty certain you would have heard the sound on that no problem. And this is why you need to play with the different platforms, and this is why you need to choose your platform, bearing in mind what you want to do with them. Yes, I preloaded my slides into this one because I find that easier than going into the screen share with it, because it doesn't show the whole thing as well with a screen share. And that's why you need to play with the platforms. There is, if I'm honest, as far as I'm concerned, there is right now no one platform that does it all. So it's a matter of what you want to do with it, how you feel comfortable with the controls and using it. All I can do is give you, right, this is this platform, this is what it does, these are the advantages, these are the disadvantages, this is the cost. And let's face it, until we're all, running that high 6 and 7 figure business, cost is going to be an issue for a lot of us. So all of these factors come into it. Nobody can just say use this platform, because there are too many variables. All we can do is say these are the most popular, these are what they do, play with them and get familiar with them before you run your own live webinar. Okay, any other questions? Yes, you can, absolutely. You can do a mini practice webinar and record it. Do you know what? I do that all the time. And the other thing that I do is I actually come into my conference room at least half an hour before. I click on record, I stop, I render it, I record probably 30 seconds worth, and I check it to see that it's recorded. Sometimes what I haven't done before is to check to see whether that format then loads up into YouTube or Camtasia. But yeah, absolutely, as you say Chris, it's just like buying a mobile phone. You've got to decide what you want to use it for. So if you're going to be playing videos a lot, it might well be that this one doesn't work brilliantly. Having said that, if you preload it into video, it might be amazing. I haven't tested that yet, I'll be honest. That's probably something I'll do over the next few days now, because I'm curious. You might find, if you just want to do slide presentations and chat, that this is the one that's, wow, this is great, You might want more funky gimmicks, in which case Hangouts on Air, linked with something like Webinar Express. You might want something which is just easy and quick to set up and sort of tried and tested by the experts. Like Grace said earlier, Jo uses GoToWebinar. She obviously uses it for a reason, But one of the things that I would say is sometimes we use stuff because previously there was not much choice, and now we get comfortable with it. So Jo knows GoToWebinar like the back of her hand. Let's face it, cost is probably not an issue. There's no need for her to change to something else. Yeah? Easy setup and sign in is always good. And Meetcheap, and even that is going to be easy to set up and sign in. What else is easy? Right, I must tell you about the Mike Filsaime version of the platform I'm using now. The functionality of what you're seeing here is exactly the same. The setting up, I'll be honest, is a pain in the backside. It takes ages to set this same thing up using the evergreen Mike Filsaime thing. I've got it, and I'm not going to bin it, because although it takes a bit longer to set up, it integrates beautifully with my Aweber platform. And it has got so many marketing bells and whistles and testing, split testing, and all of that kind of thing, that it's worth it for that. For something like what I did tonight, where I thought, do you know what? I don't necessarily want a great big complex sign-in process. Here's the link. Come on, guys, just come and join me. And from the user's perspective, it's easy as well. There's the link. You click on it. Hey, presto, you're in. There are also things that you can do. For example, I could have blocked you so that you couldn't get in until 9 o'clock. In the end, I couldn't be bothered to do that. I just thought, well, I'll be here early and I'll chat away to anybody who actually comes in early. If you think, oh, I'm not ready and I don't want people coming on board before I'm ready, you can lock the room and then unlock it when you're ready. There's so many things that you can do to make life easy for yourself. Okie dokie. Are there any other questions? Okay, I've got a question for you now, guys. How many of you feel ready to go and run that webinar? How many of you are going to go in and jump in the deep end and do it? Can you remove the moderator switch on this one when you sign in? No, you can't. Actually, if you're not the moderator, I don't think you can change. Well, if you try to change it to moderator, you wouldn't get in anyway without the password. So that's not a big deal. So it's secure. If you're not the moderator, you can't get in. It's just that sometimes some people might get brilliant. Junior's got a date, 17th of September. Kumaran's going to go. Grace is saying sort of. Yeah, Chris up for it, just not sure about the time, and that is fantastic. Now, if any of you who are not already in my mentoring program, who want that extra help, do consider going over to, in fact, I ought to copy this and paste it in the chat for you, wouldn't I? Go over and have a look at the implementation bootcamp, because I will be making sure that you do run a webinar so that you can start earning money. Because to be honest, webinars are the best way of earning money online. Okay, there's the link, guys. Pass it on to other people as well. The more the merrier. I can't stress you've got to get going. You've got to get the first one under your belt. And crikey, you could even sell on your first one. How amazing would that be? Even if you don't, the only way you're going to start selling is by running regular webinars. Eventually, you'll get to the point where your confidence starts to go through the roof. And once you get confident at doing it, once you know what you're doing with the presentation, and believe me, I have got a lot of stuff to share with you on the presentation itself. I was doing presentations for years. That's my thing. Obviously, I'm a presentation skills and a public speaking trainer, but there is an art to selling through them. And the other thing is, you've just got to have the balls to get in there and say, guys, you need to do this. You've got to be confident in your program, and you've got to say, well, and I'm confident enough to say, do you know what? If you don't do webinars, you're mad. If procrastination, fear, or whatever is stopping you from doing webinars, then not getting the help and support from me, or at least somebody like me, you're mad. It's as simple as that. I'm not kidding. I know that a lot of you know me and know my background. Some of you I've not come across before. I struggled like mad to make money. I was getting to the point where I was pulling my hair out, and it was when my mentor took me under her wing and said, Tina, you need to be doing webinars, you need to be doing them more regularly. And actually, it was Joe who said, you need to do webinars on webinars, because a webinar is an online presentation. Presentations is what you're all about. And then it was my other mentor in my, mastermind group that I'm part of, who said, go, one step further and now upsell to a high-end mentoring program. And I can't tell you the difference it's made to me and my confidence, the difference it made to my bank balance throughout the summer. And because my conversion rates went well, I've now got more joint venture partners lined up for the end of September and a massive one in October. So just on that, I tell you what I'm going to do as well. I am going to get up for you my mentoring program, because if any of you want to come on board my full mentoring program, at the moment I'm doing that at a low rate, but I'm expecting the low rate to be taken very shortly, because when I do my joint ventures, it's going to go up. Those who are already my mentors got it at my bottom rate. People who come on board now get it at the next rate down. But I'm very, at the moment it's £200 a month. What's that in dollars? I think it's $297 a month, something like that. But it will be going up to £300 a month once I've got the next 10 clients on board. So if you want to get in at the lower price, get on board now, as it were. As you heard me saying, the people who are in my mentoring group get all of the extra training that I'm doing free, gratis, because I love them so much, because, they're special, the people who are in my mentoring group. All right, I've kept you long enough. Are there any final questions before I let you go to your evening if you're in the UK, and let you go to your afternoon if you are in the States, as I know some of you are? No? Thank you, Darla. Thank you for giving your time and coming and joining me. Thanks, Grace. If there's no questions, that's it. I shall say cheerio. Good night. Good afternoon. And I want you to all post me the dates of your webinar. If you're not in a Wicked Webinar Facebook group, either send me a private message on Facebook, ask to join it, and I want to see your dates, I want to see your opt-in pages, and I want to see your results. I want you to post when you make money, and let's all celebrate when you start making money. Thanks, Julia. Thanks, Chris. Bye, everybody. Cheerio. Fantastic. Thanks, Darla. I look forward to seeing you online too. And I'll be looking for your posts. Fabulous. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.